Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to my office. Welcome to my office hours. And it's good to see you here. I hope everyone had fun with the trivia. I stepped away for a second, but hopefully there's some good trivia questions in there. And there's been a few submissions trickling in here and there, but just want to remind you, if you want to submit your own questions, it can be really fun. Go to bit.ly/submit trivia with a capital T. Right there, submit your multiple choice trivia questions. Teo, learn code. Howdy to you as well. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. All right. So let's get into it here. Make sure I'm not muted. That is correct. Okay. This is number 80 of these. This is my 80th office hours. So nothing, it's just a shorter name, what I used to call it. Used to call it Live Coding with Matt Groves, but it's just shorter, office hours. Easier to say. And you're just hanging out in the office here with me. That's all. We're going to do some Windows subsystem for Linux today, WSL. It's something I have kind of tinkered with a little bit in the past, but I really wanted to get into it today, get it working for sure, get it running, and start using it with Windows Terminal, because there is a specific tool that I want to try out that right now is Linux and Mac only. And there's not a Windows build for it yet. It's just Couchbase shell. So it kind of gives me an excuse to do something that I've been wanting to do anyway, which is play around with Windows subsystem for Linux, and specifically Bash and Ubuntu. So we're going to get into that. All right. So this is kind of the guiding principle of the channel here. Ask questions. Feel free. It's a safe place to ask any question you like. The only stupid one is the one you don't ask. So you got questions, ask. Someone came in last stream on Tuesday and started asking really basic HTML questions, and nothing to do with what I was streaming about right now, but I stopped everything and tried to help, at least get them off in the right direction. So won't always do that, hopefully, but if you have questions, ask away. All right, I'm a member of the Team Live Coders, and I'm going to bring up a little tab here, show this in a browser. You can go to twitch.tv/team/livecoders. You get a list of everybody who's streaming right now and everybody who's on the team, 161 members strong. A lot of people streaming right now. Seems to be a popular time, Thursday afternoon in the U.S. But we got Bald Bearded Builder, we've got Code Rushed, Lana Lux, who's always at the top of the list whenever she's streaming. She's always doing really cool 3D game dev stuff, and others. So we're going to come back here towards the end of the stream and find a teammate to raid. See who's still streaming, and we'll raid them. So stick around for that. Yes, livecoders.dev is our team's website. You can go find more information about us there. I'll just paste that one into the chat. So if you want to check out members, you can do so. Also, the awesome developers streaming list. I'll bring this up here. This is a GitHub repository, which just is not a team-centric list. It's just a list of everyone who submitted themselves to be listed here, and what they're streaming about, and where you can find them. Doesn't have to be Twitch. Could be YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, Periscope. I don't know. Where else do people stream live video?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hey, what's going on, Surly Dev? Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you. Hoi hoi to you, whatever that means. Some sort of UK thing, I guess. But hello, hi. And you can see this list here. I believe Surly Dev is one of the people who helps maintain this list, if I'm not mistaken, or created it. I'm not sure. But there you go. It's a list of people and where they're streaming and what they stream about. Yeah, mention that list and you appear. Basically, that's how it works. I mentioned every stream. bit.ly/GrovesTube is also down here at the bottom of the screen. Over there, the second link. You can just go and find video recordings of previous live streams. So, if you prefer to watch at 2x speed or, time shift or whatever, that's the way you can do it. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. I'm glad you're here. Leave a comment, leave a question, and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. In fact, I think I'm now the main collaborator. There you go. Well, I appreciate that, Surly Dev. It's something I plug every stream because I think it's a great resource for people, especially, since streaming has become a lot more, it's just got a lot more people giving attention to it, and a lot of people sort of getting into it for the first time. I think it's a great place to start, to say, hey, you want to find someone they're interested in, don't just click around everywhere. Go to the site and search for terms you're interested in, and that's a good place to start. Pluralsight course, yeah, why not? I'll mention it again. Oh, well, you're quite welcome, Surly Dev. Pluralsight. No, I'm not logged in. Okay. But if you go to Pluralsight and you search for Couchbase, you're going to see a bunch of results here for all the Couchbase courses. But if you search by the most recent ones, you'll see here's mine, my brand new Pluralsight course. 20-second latency today. Oh gosh. That's a lot of latency, it seems like. We had problems, it was Tuesday or last Thursday, with some dropped frames, but so far no error messages. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood, I guess, or touch wood, as they say. But this is my Pluralsight course, my very first Pluralsight course, and it's on Couchbase, and I just had so much fun making it. It was a great experience. So if you're a Pluralsight subscriber or thinking about it, definitely go and check out this course and other Couchbase courses there. This is sort of the place you should start. It shows you how to install Couchbase, the basics of how it works. And then you can go on to the further courses about writing queries and nickel and using analytics and functions and eventing and all that great stuff. So it's all there. Lots of courses there on Pluralsight for Couchbase and lots of Pluralsight courses on every topic you can think of. So definitely go check that out. I think that might be the last time I plug it for now. Upcoming events, NDC Oslo. This is coming up very soon. I am waist deep into creating the slide deck for this. The slide deck is, kind of the main asset that you have for presentations. But of course, there's all the story you got to work in behind it, and the outline and the demo as well. Which I think the demo is mostly ready to go already. I've demoed this previously, but I just want to practice it and make sure and write down all the steps and make sure it's on GitHub and all that good stuff. So that's coming up soon, June 8th through 12th. I believe I'm on the 11th. That presentation is called Don't Drop.
Good afternoon, everybody.
What's going on, Calvin? Good to see you. GitHub, according to Calvin. Yeah, it's called Don't Drop Acid. It's about ACID transactions in NoSQL. Which there's so much material and so much to learn, and I'm going to try to cram as much as I can into the presentation time that I have. But basically, I just want people to who have dismissed NoSQL in the past to take a second look, because now there's ACID, and now there's SQL, and now there's all these other things that didn't have before, and NoSQL is maturing a lot. Kevin Griffin, what's going on? Great to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to, I should probably give some shout outs. I'm really kind of slacking in my shout out game here. By the way, I think Calvin, you can shout out as well. So there's a shout out to Kevin Griff, and I'll shout out Calvin A. Allen as well while I'm at it. Check those people out. And why not? Surly Dev. I think I saw a stream pop into my email in the last week or two, but I haven't seen one since, at least not notified of it. But I think Surly does stream, not at Surly Dev though, it's at, I can't remember, code mistakes or coding by mistake or something like that. Oh, looks like I have a bug there in my shout out script, but that's okay. You don't need to shout me out. You're already here. But I appreciate that. Not from you. Let me think of somebody else. Let me think of TBD Gamer. Anyway, you should follow Surly Dev. Surly Dev does some great stuff. Live Coders Conference is coming up June 20th. I will not be speaking there, but I do want to still promote it because it's my team, of course, and that'll be a great conference. It was really, really huge, exceeded my expectations by far, the last one. So I'm really looking forward to the next one. That's coming up on June 20th. Today, code by mistakes will be my streaming when I do stream. Okay, there you go. Code by mistakes. There you go. I'm pretty sure. We talked about this in the past. Follow Surly Dev. That's all I'm saying. Today, Windows subsystem for Linux. I want to dive into this because before I get into that, I want to give this a quick mention here. This is a new shell command line kind of tool for working with Couchbase. This is kind of a relatively new experimental project right now. It's built in Rust, so if you're into Rust, you might want to check this out. I think it's built in Rust. I don't know enough about Rust to say is this built in Rust or not, but it looks like it. RS, I'm assuming that's Rust. So there you go, all kinds of good Rust stuff. But this is a client that allows you to do a lot of Couchbase stuff just from like a command line sort of prompt terminal, REPL almost sort of thing. Insert data, and what is this? You want to know when Surly starts streaming. I'm going to show up control as hard as I can. Okay. Thanks for that clip, Surly. So this is something that's kind of experimental. It's not an official product or anything. But right now, if I go to the releases page, there is only an OS X and Linux version. And if I go over here to the GitHub Actions, as you can see, the Windows part of this has been commented out. I assume this is not because of spite, but I assume it's because there's something about it that doesn't quite work on Windows yet. But I really want to try this shell program and get it working and show it to you. It's really cool. But I need to have OS X or Linux. Now I could just go the easy route and open up create a VM or something like that, or even just, I don't know, lots of things I could do. But I've been meaning to get into Windows Subsystem for Linux for a while. It's something I've played with a little bit here and there. It's something that Calvin and I talk about, Windows Terminal and WSL, a lot on our podcast, which is .NET Bytes. That's .NET Bytes.fm. You want to check that one out for sure. So I thought, hey, this is a good excuse for me to get into it. So I've actually got it running right now. Just to kind of show you. Here's Windows Terminal. The default is PowerShell. But notice here I've got Ubuntu 20, which I didn't even realize there was a 20 until today. And I can connect into an Ubuntu 20 bash prompt right here in Windows. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through that process because I've already got it installed, so I feel like I'm kind of cheating. I want to show you every step of the way how I did this. So first thing I'm going to do is show you how to uninstall it. So I'm going to go over here. This is my apps and features part of Windows where I can uninstall programs. So let me go ahead and close down PowerShell here, or close down Terminal. Here it is. It's installed. I'm going to go ahead and click uninstall there. So I'm just getting rid of it. I'm going to want to start from scratch. But for reference, if you want to uninstall it, it's just another program, just listed here in your normal Windows uninstall list of installed software. So that's it. I just uninstalled it. Easy as that. Okay. Now to install it, what you need to do, and this is something I probably can't do, can't demonstrate, is because I think it requires a restart, is you need to go to this.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Hi, thank you for the follow, Sean W122. I think I know who that is. What's going on, Sean? I hope you'll get the chance to check out Conduct tonight, which will be back here on Twitch, by the way. Yep, it is the Sean I expected. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. But yeah, later tonight, 6 p.m.-ish, maybe a little earlier than that, we'll be doing our monthly Condug user group right here on my Twitch stream. The speaker tonight is Seth Petrie Johnson. Absolutely terrific presentation. I've seen it at least once, if not twice, like this exact presentation. And I actually, work through some of this stuff that he's demonstrating back when we used to work together. So really tremendous, compelling stuff. I highly recommend coming back here at around 6 p.m. and checking that out. Let's see. If you're searching for your favorite podcasting app for the podcast, search for .NET Bytes. Oh, yeah, sure. I think we're back to the podcast here. But I think all the stuff there, you can find it all down here. Here's how you find all the different favorite podcast apps. Even the RSS feed if you want to drop down at that. Sean is putting me on the spot. Am I confirmed to speak in Conduct in June? I've only been sort of half paying attention to the email thread going around today with the organizers, but maybe. Calvin says yes. Okay, there you go. Calvin's one of the organizers as well, so there you go. Yes. I guess the other Matt bumped himself out, so you're going to be slotted in June. So there we go. If Matt E hasn't gotten back to you yet, we're game on. Okay, that sounds good. Matt Eland is the other one. Integer Man, as he's known here. Okay, so this is the very first step. If you've never installed Windows subsystem for Linux before, you have to go here to Windows Features, turn Windows Features on or off, which you can, if you just hit the Windows key and type, features, then that should come up as a match. Turn Windows Features on or off. And you get this little screen right here. All these different checkboxes represent different Windows features. And one of the things that's in here is the Windows subsystem for Linux. And you can see I've already got that checked because I already installed that earlier. But I think if you check this and hit OK, you then have to, I'm not 100% sure on this, but you have to restart your system in order for that install to finish. All right? And I will say there's something else. If you're, right now I think there's something called Windows Subsystem for Linux version 2 or WSL 2. And I believe that is available, I'm not 100% sure on this, but that's available for people who are on like the Windows preview releases or whatever they call those things. I think I'm still on WSL 1. All right, so there's some improvements that are on Windows 2004 that came out today. Oh, really? Okay. Didn't realize that just came out today. That's an interesting coincidence. But anyway, there's some improvements there with WSL, especially in regards to Docker, which I'm going to use Docker today, but I'm not going to get into the WSL Docker stuff. But there's some things that are coming down the pipeline for that. So that's this only step. I really can't show you all of it today because I'd have to do a restart and I'd have to shut down the stream and all that. The next thing you want to do is bring up the Microsoft Store, which, if you're like me, I hardly ever go into the Microsoft Store. It's something I basically never touch unless I absolutely have to. But you can go in here and search for, let's see what works here. So we've got, if you want to search for a specific version of Linux that you want to install, you could search for Debian, for instance. Maybe even Red Hat Linux. I don't know. Is that on here? Like RHEL? I don't know which all the distributions are available. Maybe Fedora. I don't know. I don't know which ones are all available. CentOS. Okay, if you just search for Linux, there you go. We've got Ubuntu, which I'm going to use, and different versions of Ubuntu. Kali, SUSE, Debian. I don't know if all these are in here or not. There's 4 or 5 of them, I think. I can't remember the other one. But anyway, Ubuntu 18 and 20, and it used to be the older version. I think 16 was on here, but I think 16 is no longer supported, so they probably dropped out. I don't know what this one is specifically, just plain Ubuntu. I've got that installed already, but I don't really know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install Ubuntu 20, and LTS means long-term support. So you just hit the install button here, and that's going to download and install Ubuntu. Pretty quick install. I don't know if that's because I got a cache copy locally or not, but it's a pretty big chunk there. And then once it's installed, then click launch. And then what's going to happen is this little screen will come up here, this little console that's going to install, and it says it may take a few minutes. This won't take very long at all. I've actually done this twice today, kind of practicing, because I wanted to go back over the steps, so if anyone's watching this video on YouTube, they could see the exact steps that I took. AJ 2017, great to see you. Yo to you as well. I'm glad you're here. Man, I got a lot of people hanging out today. Got some new people, got some regulars. It's great. All right, so now you need to get this little prompt here to enter a Unix username and a password. And this can be whatever you want to. It does not have to match Windows. It can be just whatever you like. So I'm going to put in mgroves as my username. I'm going to put in something as my password. I'm not telling you what it is. I don't know if it matters, but there you go. And there you go. So now I've got Linux, Ubuntu Linux running here on Windows. You can see I've got a bash prompt right there. I'm actually going to drop out of this because I'm going to instead bring up Windows Terminal, which I also already have installed. Password is SQL for life, LYFE. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the code to my luggage. Movie reference. Yes, it's a movie reference. And if Coral shows up today and types a message in the chat, you're going to see a video clip from that same movie. Certainly, I have Ubuntu 20.04 LTS running on my other laptop. I love relational databases. I love databases of all kind, Kevin Griff, but I especially love Couchbase, which is a NoSQL database with SQL, believe it or not. That's crazy talk. We're going to actually see in a little bit in a second here. All right. So this, by default, this brings up PowerShell, PHP forever. You guys are all guessing my password, and these are all terrible guesses. It is, normally my passwords are just like scribbly-gook. It's just nothing. In this case, though, it is something relatively easy to brute force. Wizard and the Princess. Nope, that's not it either. My passwords are basically impossible for me to remember, for the most part. There's a few exceptions. Sneakers. Another terrible password. That would be super easy to brute force. Wizard and the Princess, not as easy. My voice is my password. It should be passport. All right, so you guys are great. I love it. So here we are on Windows Terminal, which, by the way, installing Windows Terminal, I didn't go over that, but it's a program you can install. I think it's in version 1 now, if I'm not mistaken. So if we go to About here, you can see, yeah, I'm on version 1. Be the Beacon. Electric Havoc, what's up? I love these sneakers references. I'm absolutely loving them. One of my favorite movies. Top 10, easily, is Sneakers. V1 launched at Build, but it's almost like you're on our podcast. Yes, Calvin. I know. I remember V1 launched at Build. The thing is, it sort of updated automatically. I didn't do anything to get V1. It just showed up. I don't have to think about it. It just keeps updating itself. I love it. But you may have not noticed this yet, but Ubuntu 20 showed up here. Terminal automatically figured out that WSL is installed, and I've got Ubuntu. If you install other versions here, like someone said, they mentioned they're going to install Kali, or you have SUSE, those will all show up here as options. And you can have tabs, so I can easily tab between PowerShell and Linux right here on Windows. So I can do Linux things like ls. All right, and this is my desktop. I don't necessarily want to show you that. I'm going to go to Downloads. ls-l, there we go. Look at all that good stuff. All those things that I've downloaded. Hopefully nothing too embarrassing in there. Oh, and now screen splitting. Can you do screen splitting? How do I do that? You need to reboot after enabling WSL, but I would miss Matt too much, so I'll do it later. Yeah, okay. I thought you needed to reboot. How do you do a screen splitting? You just grab it and what? I don't know why I necessarily want that, but I kind of want to know how to do it. I can move tabs around, right? I think you need to set up the hotkey in settings. Settings. Let's see. So settings open up Notepad of all things with some JSON. Key bindings. Oh boy. So I can set up split horizontal. Okay, so it's just kind of a feature I have to hack around with the settings a little bit for. But that's cool. Shift F, yeah, no, right-clicking the tab doesn't do anything. Shift F10, that's not doing anything. But here's a blog post, Electric Havoc. Thank you for that. I might check that out later. I'm not super critical right now. I can control tab between them, so that's kind of nice. This is, I mean, if you've not used Windows Terminal yet, and you're a regular Windows user, oh my gosh, you need to do it. You need to. It is one of the best things that Microsoft has put out since like Visual Studio Code. It's just so tremendous. Love it. Like, for my whole life, like command line in DOS and Windows has just not really, it hasn't really gone through much innovation and improvement. And, meanwhile, over on Mac and on Linux systems, Terminal is just like this first-class amazing thing. And now Windows Terminal brings that to Windows. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to keep gushing about it. I'm going to stop now. Okay. So there we go. That's it. You can also use the command line. Split pane. Windows PowerShell. Interesting. Yeah, WSL, there's a little command line deal. Just WSL, which has a bunch of things you can do. And I believe this is coming. This was mentioned in the podcast, so I didn't remember this, Calvin. If you don't have Linux installed, it's coming soon. You can install it from the command line. You can say something like WSL, I don't know, install Ubuntu or something like, I don't know the exact syntax, but that'll do it for you. You can't see that because it's under that purple there, but something like install Ubuntu. It's going to look something along those lines. Great stuff. Okay. One other cool thing here. I'm here on Linux, all right? I want to show you something. This is I kind of discovered this a little bit by accident, but I think I saw this somewhere before. If I type Docker, all right? I don't have Docker installed in Linux here. So this is what comes up, and it says, hey, I don't have that in WSL1. Here are some things you can do to go to WSL2 and install Docker. Because one of the things you can do with Docker, by the way, is in Windows, Docker for Windows desktop, it runs on Hyper-V. That's kind of the back end there. It's like a virtual machine running the back end. If you have WSL set up on Windows, you can run Docker in that instead. And it's going to be a more performant type of backend for Docker. Now, you need WSL2 for that. I don't have that yet. But check this out. Docker.exe. I have Docker installed on Windows already, and it's in the path. So by just saying docker.exe, I can execute Windows programs here in Linux. Isn't that bananas? So docker.exe ps, and you can see I've got one Couchbase image running here. With WSL1, you cannot run the Docker daemon because WSL1 is not a true Linux kernel. WSL is a true full Linux kernel and runs on a Hyper-V. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Sean. So that's pretty cool. So I could also, for instance, probably like what, dir, well, no, I don't know. I haven't tried any other Windows commands, but you can run Windows stuff here from Linux. Pretty awesome. Calvin says they're going to rip out the guts of Windows and drop in a custom Linux kernel within 10 years. That's his prediction. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. That is never going to happen. But I would have also said, you're never going to be able to run Linux inside of Windows. But I don't know if they're going to rip out the guts of Windows and drop in Linux. But I could definitely see some sort of operating system release from Microsoft that is Linux, right? Maybe they go the route of like Apple and do, instead of creating their own operating system, they kind of create their own fork of BSD, right? So maybe a Microsoft Linux, which I think there already is one, a Microsoft Linux distro, right? But it's meant for server, not for desktop. Anywho, yes, yeah, I was right. There is a distro of Linux by Microsoft. It's used in Azure. It is not a desktop Linux, right? We're talking about desktop Linux. They're always complaining about the guts of Windows, right? And discussing switching to Rust down in the core somewhere. Okay, maybe. It's hard to predict anymore because Microsoft's doing such crazy stuff. And as we discussed in the last podcast, it used to seem like it was one step forward, two steps back. These days, it's like two steps forward, but there's still that one step back. And we're not going to talk about that because it's kind of a hot issue on Twitter right now. But they're still, making steps back every once in a while. But yeah, I would absolutely believable. 10 years, in fact, seems a little bit conservative. I think it's even sooner than that. We see some sort of version of a Linux distro or a Linux kernel or something running on available to PCs. Right? Okay. Scott Hunter was just presenting, and hopefully we're going to get Scott Hunter at the Condo user group here too. But he's a big muckety muck at Microsoft, and he's touched on some plans for Windows. Very cool. No, yeah, that's fine, Calvin. I'm just saying your prediction is not bold enough. 5 years ago, that would be a crazy man's prediction. But right now, I think 10 years, yeah, easily. 10 years, we might even see two different types of Linux kernels for Microsoft. Who knows? Or Linux distros. I have not already talked to Scott. I thought Sean had been in touch with him, But if not, maybe Sean and Calvin and whatever, we can all get an email thread going and get that discussion started. Okay. So here's the thing. So Docker is not running here in Ubuntu. So I can't reference Docker by saying local, whatever I'm running in Docker, I can't reference it by saying localhost, because it's not localhost. It's actually running in my Windows host. I've got hosts everywhere. I've got host galore. I got Ubuntu host, I got Windows host, I got Docker host. But I can still access it. For instance, I could say sudo wget, and the IP address, my local area network IP address is this, I think, 193. Type in my password, and there we go. So by using this LAN address, I can still sort of jump out of the host and still hit my Docker host in my Windows host. I know that's maybe complicated, but basically, if I switch this to localhost, right, it's not going to work. Oh, wait, what? It did work. It didn't work last time I tried it. All right, I guess I was wrong. So I don't need to jump out to that. Okay, so there we go. So that's it. That's basically it. You've got WSL running, you've got Ubuntu running, you've got a command line running. You can do all the apt-get stuff that you want to do, install here, and so on. We're going to do some of that in a second. But what I want to show you now, it should work. I built and served on Jekyll blog from Ubuntu, and it can hit Windows in the browser. Oh, okay. It didn't work for me last time. I don't know what I was doing wrong. I was kind of in the middle of upgrading Docker at the time, so maybe that's it. I don't know. So running Docker on Windows in the WSL will be better than running Docker natively on Windows. That is what they say, certainly, Diff. I've not tried it yet, but they say that basically you're going to be running Docker against WSL instead of against Hyper-V directly. Although, according to Sean here, WSL 2 is running on Hyper-V already, so it seems like it's Hyper-V anyway. I'm just not sure, so I'm not sure how it would be better or more performant if it's still Hyper-V behind the scenes, so don't know. But I haven't tried it yet. I eventually, once WSL 2 is out, I guess I will get to it. Electric Havoc says depends on WSL 1 versus WSL 2 choice. So I think it is possible, and I've not succeeded at this, but it is possible to install Docker inside of WSL. So I could have WSL running, or Docker running on Windows and Docker running on WSL at the same time. You can run Docker in a Docker container. It's about the Hyper-V. Docker on Windows really is the same as Docker on Linux. You can run Docker in a Docker container? That would be bananas. I got WSL 2 and then immediately got a Docker on Windows upgrade to utilize it, but I don't use it enough to know what's better about it. So what I read, Calvin, just briefly was better performance. That's what I read about it. Does Docker run all the time, like SQL Server, sucking up resources? I mean, it depends on what you got running in Docker, I guess. Docker itself, I don't, if you're not running any images, Docker daemon is running, right? But it's not actually doing anything. So like right now you can see if I do Docker PS, this lists all the images that are running in Docker. And I could have 10, 20 of them, right? But if I do a PSA, I've got all these other images that I have run in the past. They're not running right now, but they're just sort of, they're out there. I could start them up if I wanted to. Yeah, enable them, I guess, or restart them and stop them, that sort of thing. Yep. I love me some Docker, mainly because it's a really easy way for me to spin up various pieces of software in kind of a playground setting, like a sandbox kind of thing. So if I want to have 10 different versions of Couchbase, like 5 enterprise and 5 community, and like 6.5 and 6.5.1, I can switch back and forth between them really, really easily. If I install them directly on Windows, like bare metal, I'd have to uninstall and then install another version and then uninstall. And if I did on VMs, now I got all these VM scripts and all this stuff I got to manage. So I really like Docker for that. Let's see. Image layer caching. So most, yeah, there's caching too, right? Yeah, that's true. When you see this when you install an image in Docker for the first time, There's like 6 to 10 different pieces it downloads because the layers are the same sometimes for different Docker images. So like .NET Core, for instance, it's all built on the same sort of base image. All right. So Couchbase shell. This is kind of the reason I wanted to get running in the first place. If I go to releases, it's in Rust, so I could just try to compile this myself. I've never written or touched a single bit of Rust in my life. So that is a whole area that I have to learn and dive into and figure out. And I probably even get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this on Windows. But clearly, because they come into Windows out here, there's something that's not working on Windows yet, even if I could compile it. So I'm just going to get running on Linux. If I go to releases here, you want to play around with Rust and the WinRT Rust bindings for UI stuff. All right. Rust it up. So Linux and OS X. Now I've already downloaded these, and you can see I've got, where is it? CBSH. I've already unzipped it into this folder here. So this is a Linux program. And so I can execute that by saying /CBSH. Now, the default settings for this is it assumes, you can actually create a config file for this, but it assumes that Couchbase is running on localhost. It assumes you have a username of administrator. It assumes you have a password of password. Those things are all true. I didn't think they were, because I remember I was doing the 192.168.0.193. I thought I had to do that, but I'm going to try it now, and I didn't try this already, so this could break. But I think my defaults are fine. Okay, so here is where a little bit of Linux knowledge helps. Oh, thanks for stopping by, Sean. I appreciate it. We'll see you around. I got an error. So I didn't install this program using apt-get. I just downloaded a release package from GitHub, and I unzipped it and I tried to run it. And it's saying, hey, I don't see this library. Basically what it's saying. I can't open that. So what we can do is we can search for that library. Apt search libxcb render. I don't know what that library is, but I can search for it and see, is there a package for that? And there's several where the results come up. This looks like the right one because it doesn't have a dev next to it. And I don't know what the util part of it is. We can try that if this doesn't work. But I know it will because I've done this already. So apt install. Oh, I got to do sudo apt install. So it's going to install that library for me. Okay, all done. So my error message was can't find libxcb. Let's try running it again. Okay, another error message. Can't find libxcbxfixes. App search. You see where I'm going with this? And this is the kind of problem that apt-get already solves for you. So if Couchbase shell was already available in the apt-get repository, it would solve these dependencies for me automatically. But it's not there yet. This is a very relatively new experimental project. So I'm going to apt install. I don't think I have to do sudo anymore. Yeah, I do. Okay. Apt install libxcb-xfixes0. Okay, so that installed, and now let's try it again. Now it works. So I had to install those two libraries manually, but now it works. So I'm connected, and there's a number of different commands you can use now. I'm actually in Couchbase shell, but I can see clusters, and it will give me a list of all the clusters that are available. This is the one that I found. This is all following the default credentials, the default connection string, all that kind of stuff. So then I can say, okay, what buckets are in there? I've got 4 buckets. And by the way, this is all stuff that I can do in the UI. So I can log in here with the same credentials. And there we go. Here's my cluster I'm logged into. Here's my buckets. Those 4 buckets, they match. Right? I bring it over here like this. You can see those same buckets. Event Sprint, My Test, Travel Sample, and Twitch Chat. They're all there. Now, one cool thing is I can have multiple clusters in the shell. If I wanted to manage multiple clusters, I could do that from this shell. So there we go. So I've got a Linux and Mac, but Linux-only program running here on Windows, inside of Windows Terminal, using Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's incredible stuff, I think. It's really, really cool. So what else can we do? So here's all the commands that are available. I want to go through these. I want to put together a short video that shows off this shell tool because it's cool. It's written in Rust, and it may have potential to be a very productive sort of administration development tool. So what do we got? We've got query. So here's where I can type in a nickel query, which is just SQL for Couchbase, right? So t.star from travel sample t limit 10. I don't want to get everything. Let me say, yeah, limit 10. There we go. So that runs the query, and it outputs the results into this sort of ASCII table-looking thing. Now, it's not table. It's still JSON behind the scenes, but it's sort of formatted to look like a table, which can be a problem. So, for instance, if I said t.type equals route, I happen to know that these route documents have nested arrays in them, in schedule, for instance. So what it does here is it says, okay, here's all the flat data. Oh, schedule's not flat. It's an array. So I'm just going to collapse that down into this. And there's 23 objects in that array, which I'm not going to show you for the sake of your own sanity, because otherwise we could have nested. So that's pretty cool. I could see which indexes I have. Oh, you see that? It's like it's got, you can't see it. Nope, can't see it at all. Let me just move this up a little bit. It's got a little bit of suggestion there to say, hey, you typed this before. Give me a little suggestion. So that's kind of cool. Query indexes, so I can get a list of all the indexes. And this is for the whole cluster. All right, so here's all the various index names and what they're indexing. Yep, so that's pretty cool. Query advice requires a query statement parameter. Okay, so this is, I can ask for query advice. So like, can my query be improved with another index? Sample t, where I'll just do that same query. I'll just do the same query I did before. But now I'll put advice in front of it. Advise. I didn't like that. A generic unknown error happened. So generic. Can I just say advice right there in the query? Nope. Doesn't like it. Okay. So that's not working. I do want to reiterate, this is not a product. This is an experimental open source project, which I meant to set as the current project, by the way. There we go. Analytics, I don't think I have any analytics on this. This is a community edition, so there's no analytics there. Use. So I can use to set a specific bucket. So I want to say travel sample. I got to put in quotes, maybe. Nope, unexpected argument. Try use-h, so it'll give me help. Use-h, use bucket, travel sample. Okay, there we go. So that's my current bucket, for whatever that means. I guess that probably applies to this kv command, which is next. So I can say kv upsert. Okay, and kv upsert. So I can say let's see, ID column. The name of the ID column if used with an input stream. Okay. Expiry. Oh, okay, here it is. Kv upsert ID content flags. Okay, got it. So ID would be doc1, and the content, this will be just some JSON, right? Can I put it in single quotes? Is that allowed? I'll just call foo bar. Something like that. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Seems to be locked up, in fact. Well, let's open it up in the UI and see what happens. That was travel sample. It looks like it was inserted. Nope, it wasn't. Oh, and I closed out of the shell completely. Okay. Okay, KV upsert. ID. Doc 1. And then, I don't know, let's just put it like this. Single quotes. Maybe that was the problem. Could not auto-select a bucket. Okay, right, because I didn't do that. Use bucket travel sample. Okay, we got crash. Okay, interesting. All right, so like I said, this may be some problems. This is still a work in progress. What else? What else can we try? Nodes. This is going to be a list of all the nodes. So right now it's just the one node. Interesting that it returns that as a host name. When over here, it returns a different. It's a different address. Did you say I can run the enterprise version of Couchbase to do a proof of concept for work, as long as it doesn't go to introduction? Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. Yes. Without, buying a license is what I mean by that. Yes, it's free download. You can go ahead and try it as long as you want to. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, so, this is not legal advice, and make sure to read the license yourself, right? But yeah, that's what we tell people at booths and stuff. And if you want to try the enterprise version out, download it, try it out, proof of concept, whatever you want to do. Just, you need a license to go into production with it. Yes. Totally fine. Okay, buckets. I think I did that already, right? That's a list of all the buckets. Okay, interesting. Shows the cluster, which it named default. I don't think... I guess if I add another cluster, I give it a name? How do I add a cluster? I don't know. Maybe I can't. Okay, there's a fake as well. I can generate fake data. This is kind of interesting. List functions. List all functions currently registered. Okay, these are all different faking functions, I guess. That's kind of nifty. Put in some fake data. Fake templates. So it's like as a path to a template. Number of rows. 10. No, number of rows. Number of rows colon 10. I switch a flag. Okay, so I must need a template then. Template would be like foo.template, and then num rows would be 10. So, I don't know. Unexpected flag. Wait, was it? It was dash template, right? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. Looking at that some more. We got users. It's a list of all the users. So right now it's just the one user for event sprint. It's not listing the administrator user in there. It's just kind of a special type of user. User is get to show a specific user. User is a get, and then the username would be event sprint. That's the only one that's in there, but there we go. Same thing. User is upsert. I can actually create a user. That's kind of cool. And it says required here. Username. So I'm going to call it user roles. Oh, wait. I need to specify a colon here. It says it's red. Doesn't like that. Interesting. Roles admin. I don't know. Password of password. Display name of foo from CBSH. Okay, and now if I hit users, there you go, I got the list of them. That's cool. There's nothing to remove users, I don't think. Nothing yet. Nothing to remove users, but there you go. That's pretty cool. All right, so I'm kind of wondering about this KV stuff here. I wonder how this works. Oh, there might be some examples, in fact, and this would be a very cool time to show another tab, also in Linux, in Bash and Ubuntu, so I can have two tabs open. To Linux at the same time. This one over here I'm keeping because I want to keep the shell running, but I want to take a look at the examples folder here. There's fake templates. So this is like for fake data. So there's a user.terra. What's in there? Okay, so it's like a little mustache template, and I can use these functions that put in some fake data. Pretty cool. All right, so why don't we try that from here? This would be great if I set up the side-by-side tabs like Electric Havoc told me to. I didn't do that yet. All right, let's try this. KV upsert -- ID column, and in this case, just use ID. And buckets, we're going to I'll create a new bucket. Why don't I just do that while I'm here? Can I create a bucket this way? Looks like I can't. I can't create a bucket. So I'm going to do that off screen here. Well, I'll do it on screen. Create a bucket. I've already got this as my test. Why don't I just use that? What's in there? Oh, must be something I used last time. I got J.R. Lawthorne and Dota 2 Attitude. They're sandwiches. Okay. Okay, so we're going to KV upsert. And KV upserts buckets -- bucket my test ID column of ID, name of the content column if used with an input stream. One Mitchell MGT. Hello, thanks for stopping in. One Mitchell, is CB server running on Windows or in Linux subsystem? Technically neither. It's running inside Docker, so the Docker itself is running on Windows. So I guess the answer would be Windows if I had to pick one of those two. But it's a Linux image running in Docker on Windows, which I'm able to access from my Windows system for Linux. I never tried installing Couchbase on WSL. Maybe I should do that. I don't know how well that would work. No idea. I know a long time ago, I think, when WSL first came out, I don't know if it was called WSL back then, but when it first came out, I remember running a database called REAC. I think it was REAC. Anybody remember REAC? RIAK? It was from Basho, and they went bankrupt a couple years back. Someone bought them, so they're still around. But that was a Linux-only database at the time. And I didn't want to, again, I don't want to do a VM or anything like that. So I ran it in WSL, and it seemed to work. Now, that's not, it was just me, poking at it. I don't know if it was, I doubt anything supported for production in WSL. This is more of a development tool. But it should run. I don't see why it wouldn't. Good question, though, one Mitchell MGT. Okay, so where was the thing with the templates? That's what I wanted to try. Was it insert? What was the thing with the? It was fake. It was just fake. Okay. Okay, so I want to try this fake template, and the file is in examples. Fake-templates, and it was called user.terra. I don't know what Terra is. Is that some sort of templating engine I'm not familiar with? For Rust? Yes, it is. A template engine for Rust, based on Jinja 2 Django. Interesting. That's not what it looked like to me. I don't. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of like a mustache sort of thing, but it's on Rust. So there you go. That's what's being used there. Some sort of Rust templates. So fake that template. And I'm going to say, give me num rows 10. Well, look at that. Kind of did something. Let's see. My test. Anything show up in here? Nothing. What is the point of this if it's not inserting the data? Use bucket. Do I need to specify a bucket maybe? Nope, nothing's showing up in there still. Interesting. So is this something I have to pipe? Maybe? I don't know. Pipe it into KV upsert? I don't know. That's just guessing. Command not found. Oh, it's not KB. It's KV. Oh, does that do it? Look at that. I don't even know what I'm doing. I just guessed, and it worked. Okay, so just a pipe. And there we go. So it's generating some fake data, and you can see there that it's put in some names and stuff, some fake data in there instead of that template. Pretty cool. Seems pretty snappy too. I don't know why I wouldn't expect it to be snappy, but it's very, very snappy. I like it. So I can pipe some stuff into there. So I still couldn't figure out a way to do a insert on my own. Let's see. Let's try this again. ID column. Oh. No. Doc1. Content. This is what I did last time, right? And flags. No, did it work this time? Yeah, there it is, doc1. Oh, okay. I probably butchered the JSON last time. Oh, I definitely butchered it this time. But why did that allow it? That's not a valid JSON, is it? It's a string. So yeah. Okay. So this can be literal JSON here. Oh, where was I? Over here. Next batch, doc2. Okay. Let's keep experimenting. Document already exists. Yeah, I know that. Doc3, let's try it. Okay, and back over here. Well, can I do a KV get? Let's see what happens. Okay, I can do it there. Does that show up as actually... See, it's still saying as a string. Why is that? I don't want to insert strings. Well, there is a video. I haven't watched this video yet. An internal video of the engineer showing off this tool. And perhaps I should watch that. And then maybe commit some updates to the README, to the documentation here. Oh, look, this is... Oh, look, I even mentioned this. You know, I skipped over this completely. But yeah, when I installed those packages earlier, yeah, these are the ones libs xcb composite 0, using the dev versions for some reason. The other ones I didn't need to install, like Clang and CMake, those maybe are already there. I don't know. Cargo, I assume that's some sort of Rust thing. I don't know. Rust build tool. I don't know beans about Rust. Rust up. Make sure recent Rust version installed. Huh, okay. Pretty cool. Okay, so we're at about an hour now. I don't really have much else to work on. I thought this might take longer to get through this, but I need to take a step back. Oh, certainly. I put you on my phone while I rebooted. Do I need to install the new Windows terminal now to make use of WSL? You do not. I don't think so. However, I strongly suggest you use Windows Terminal because it is amazing. It is absolutely terrific. So you should install it anyway. But no, I don't think so. In fact, let's see. If I just run it on its own, will it pop up a little window? Ubuntu. Yeah. So there, I just ran it. It comes with its own little terminal window. I just ran it here directly. It comes up like that. But why on earth would you want this when you can have a nice tabbed interface that can spin these up for you and mix in PowerShell and CMD and other Linux systems? Why wouldn't you want that? Okay, there you go. Cool. All right, so what else is on my docket to do? So I still need to... On Tuesday, I was working through a documentation page. Still need to do that. Still on my to-do list. I need to work on my presentation for NDC Oslo coming up. That's still on my to-do list. And I want to turn this into some sort of video. You have a Ruby Rails API you can document? I'm going to take a pass on that. You can do it on your own stream, Calvin. The project let's see. Pokemon Black Gamer. The project you helped me with, I got 95. Pokemon Black Gamer was one I mentioned who needed help with his HTML. You got 95. I assume that's 95% out of 100. Congratulations. Well done. Good work. I hope I hope that wasn't considered. Hope I didn't do your homework for you. I hope you actually learned something. But yeah, way to go. That's cool. I like it. We need a hype command, M. Grows. What would the hype command do, Calvin Allen? I will put it in the backlog right now. What do you want a hype command to do? So you type bang hype. Is this available is it available to everybody? Or is it available just to like moderators and subscribers? Stupid animations with obnoxious music / fanfare. Okay. You know, there was something. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. There's an old cartoon. I was on Adult Swim. They were, let's see, Aquatine Hunger Force. And there were these aliens that they met. What were they called? I'll only bring this up because there's animation that they did. Oh, it's Ignignok and They had a little party, and like streamers and balloons would fall down. They had like a switch they would pull, and they thought it was a self-destruct button or something like that to eject people, but it was actually would cause a party balloons to come down. If I can find that animation, it just kind of, and it was like a little noisemaker sound that played. Yes, you did the coding for the website. You just helped with the coding. Well, okay, that's cool. You did anything else? I mean, we did some really basic HTML and JS Fiddle. Did you do anything else besides HTML? Did you get into any JavaScript or any that type of stuff? Let's see. I don't know. Anyway, I can't find anything on it. But yeah, I'll think about a hype option, Should this be mod sub only or everyone? Because if everyone can hype, then it's going to be, nonstop hype. Or maybe it's a channel points. You can just cash in 100 channel points or whatever for some hype. I don't know. The other thing I was thinking about was, by the way, I wanted to start giving out prizes again to people who are checking out the stream and hanging out. And I want to come up with like a raffle system. So the way I did it last time was I had channel points. But I want to have some sort of visual indicator on the screen that, hey, this person just redeemed a ticket, and it goes into the box, and now there's 50 entries in the box. That would just sort of show up on the screen for a brief second. And then a mechanism, of course, to draw to pick a raffle entry, and then a mechanism to empty the raffle box. These are things I want to add so that I can make the prize giving away process smoother. I have not decided what prizes to give away yet. Maybe it'll be Pluralsight gift cards to start with. That would be fun. I think that would be appropriate. Or Manning books or something like that. But I need to come up with this mechanism so it's not so manual. It's just a couple buttons I can click and away we go. How do I get the Ubuntu command prompt shell in Windows Terminal? Okay. So the way you do it here is you hit this little down arrow. You get a list of all your options. Ubuntu 20 should appear there if you've installed it already. There you go. When you hit the plus button, it gives you your default shell, which is, in my case, PowerShell. I don't know how easy it is to change that default. I'm sure there's some sort of setting you can change in here. Terminal is supposed to be smart enough to detect various prompts you have installed. Yes, that's correct. So I have Azure Cloud Shell installed, so it detects that as well. I need to go through the whole process of doing that. But JavaScript you just started today, but I just started learning SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle, and Function. Interesting. I assume SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. Does it still mean that these days, SDLC? It's a term I've not heard in a long time, actually. SDLC. But I have heard that before. It's been a while since any place I worked used that term, but yes, it's something I've heard of. Cool, so JavaScript makes sense. You have Kali and Ubuntu installed, but I only get the PowerShell command prompt and Azure Cloud Shell options. So one thing, I do remember Surly Dev, when I had Terminal already open, it wouldn't show up in there. So I had to close down Terminal completely, run it again, and then it would show up there. So it seems like it only detects them like when you first run it, not when you go to select create a new tab. So you might want to give that a try as well. Close down all the terminal tabs, and there you go. I am right. It's SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. SDLC. Oh, Systems Development Lifecycle is what it's called here. But I always call it Software Development Lifecycle. Really kind of the same. Software is systems, right? But software can make up systems. Interesting. Yeah, turn it off and off again. Did that work, Surly Dev? All right, before I sign off here and go pick someone to raid, I want to just take a quick look at my trivia backlog. Has anyone submitted a trivia question yet? What's going on right now? This isn't HTML. No, this is not HTML. We're not doing much coding right now. I'm just setting up Windows Terminal so I can run Linux and run Linux programs here in Windows. Wait till I go to the lug after they restart. Huh? Wait until I go into the lug after they restart. The Linux user group? After they restart? Oh, after the group starts back up. Got it. You're going to show this off in the Linux user group? Oh, boy. I think for the most part, the Linux community has been welcoming to this kind of stuff. Microsoft contributions and Linux showing up in in Windows, but I'm sure that there are many diehards still left over who are just like, if it's Microsoft, it's automatically tainted and evil and bad sort of thing. And, it's a healthy skepticism is good, but an attitude of Microsoft is everything they do is evil. That's not so much a good attitude. But I'm sure there's plenty of people like that still. I used to be a little bit like that, to be honest. It's like, Microsoft, I screw everything up. Okay, so I think that's all I want to cover for today. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me and helping me through it. No one submitted any new trivia questions since Calvin's last one. I did add a few in. I approved a few. I'm not going to approve this one, Calvin, but I don't have any way of deleting it yet. So it's just going to hang out in there as unapproved. It's the top of my list for a while. But if you have trivia questions, go on here, bit.ly/submit trivia. It's a capital T. And you can enter your multiple choice trivia questions, and they could be featured on the next pre-stream trivia. Someone commented on one of the Build Twitter threads the other day, when are Microsoft going to embrace open source? I replied, they already have. Pay attention. Expecting a retort, they didn't reply. Yeah, I mean, if you're asking that question, you haven't really been paying much attention, I don't think. Now, again, some people are still skeptical, and again, maybe rightfully so. It's good to be skeptical of everything. It does sound very surly of you to make a comment like that. They've been legitimately releasing open source, not just source available, and not just Microsoft proprietary license, but they've been legitimate open source contributions. They've contributed to the Linux kernel. They have got Windows subsystem for Linux. They've created PowerShell that runs in Linux. Microsoft SQL Server runs in Linux. All these things. Most of Azure runs on Linux. So let's see. Sorry, I have to re-ask because my phone's froze. So what's going on? Yeah, I'm just about to finish up here, Pokemon Black Gamer. But we were working on Windows subsystem for Linux today, just getting that up and running, and using it to run a program that's Linux only. But I'm running it here on Windows. I run Windows. I'm not running any sort of, technically speaking I am, but I'm not running any sort of Linux VMs or Linux desktop VMs anywhere. I'm running this all on a Windows system, subsystem for Linux, WSL. WSL, Windows subsystem for Linux. And if you're getting started out with coding, you don't have to worry about this stuff right now. This is, down the road, might be something you want to explore. But if you don't need to, you don't need to learn everything, right? You don't need to subject yourself to the fire hose. Just getting started in HTML and JavaScript, and that's great. But WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, this is something that I really find very cool. And Windows Terminal, all this great stuff coming to Windows. That's what I was working on today. And I was working on trying out the Couchbase shell, which is only available for Linux, which is kind of the catalyst for me exploring this. So anyone have any thoughts on who should be rated? There's a lot of people to choose from. Any good suggestions? We got Bald Bearded Builder. Haven't been there in a while. I'm kind of thinking we should raid the Michael Jolly. Any other thoughts? He's doing GitHub Actions, VS Code extensions. Yeah, I'm really cool. I'm really interested in the GitHub Actions, so I'm going to go with Bald Bearded Builder. Bald Bearded Builder. So I'm going to kick off the raid here soon. Copy this string here, especially if you are a subscriber, and paste that over there when we go over to Michael Jolly's channel and raid. Let's be nice and friendly to Michael, ask questions, say hello, and really let really attack his chat with some copy and pasted raid messages there. I'll be back on Tuesday, I think, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Eastern U.S. time. And I'm planning right now to go back into documentation review, validation that I was doing on Tuesday. That's my current plan, but that may change. But anyway, come on back Tuesday, and I will see you then. In the meantime, thanks for everybody for dropping by. Thank you for the follow, Sean W. And Jay LaBelle71 followed me earlier today. I appreciate that. Peter Ritchie followed the day before. So thank you very much for that follow, everybody. I will see you over there. Have a good one.
a Boolean. So if this is a fork, then I want to get out.